Imagine you're walking down the cobbled streets of Vienna over 200 years ago. Horse-drawn carriages clatter by, and people in tall hats and long coats bustle about their day. As you pass a candlelit window, you hear something amazing. A powerful symphony flows through the air, full of booming drums, dancing violins, and melodies that feel like a storm and sunshine all at once. You stop and listen. You can't believe one person wrote this music. This is the music of Ludwig van Beethoven, one of the most famous and important composers who ever lived. What makes it even more amazing is that by the time he composed much of his famous music, he couldn't even hear it. That's right. Beethoven lost his hearing, but his passion for music never faded. His story is one of hard work, great talent, and never giving up, even when life was very difficult. Ludwig van Beethoven was born in Bonn, Germany, in December of 1770. His family was full of musicians. His grandfather was a respected musician, and his father taught music and played in the court choir. From a very young age, Beethoven showed signs of being a musical genius. He started learning piano and violin before he was even 5 years old. His father wanted him to become the next musical wonder, just like Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, another famous composer of that time. So Ludwig practiced for hours each day. It wasn't always fun, and Beethoven didn't always have an easy home life, but he stuck with music and kept improving. By the time he was a teenager, Beethoven was already working as a musician and composer. When he was only 17 years old, he traveled to Vienna, Austria, which was a very important city for music back then. There he even met Mozart, the great composer he had admired. Some rumors say that Mozart was very impressed by Beethoven's playing, although historians aren't sure exactly what happened during that meeting. Not long after, Beethoven had to return home when his mother became very ill. Sadly, his mother passed away when he was 17, and Ludwig took on more responsibility for his younger brothers. Even as a teenager, he was working hard to support his family. In the 1790s, Beethoven moved permanently to Vienna. There he studied with another famous composer named Joseph Haydn. Beethoven quickly became known as a brilliant pianist. People loved to hear him perform. He played the piano with so much energy and emotion that audiences were amazed. He also began writing more and more of his own music. His early compositions followed the musical rules of the time, but soon Beethoven began developing his own style. His music was full of feeling and power, with surprises that made people pay attention. He helped make music more dramatic and emotional, and even though not everyone understood it right away, many soon came to love it. Beethoven became very successful in Vienna. He did not work for the royal court like many musicians of his time. Instead, he chose to write music and give concerts on his own, earning money from people who liked and supported his work. This gave him more freedom to write what he wanted. He wrote all kinds of music, beautiful piano music, string quartets, and big symphonies. His first symphony came out in 1800, and more great works followed. But just as his career was taking off, Beethoven began to notice a terrible problem. He was losing his hearing. Around the age of 26 or 27, Beethoven started to realize that sounds were becoming quieter and harder to understand. He tried to hide it at first. For a musician, losing hearing seemed like the worst thing that could happen. He became very sad and struggled with the idea that he might have to stop composing. But then something amazing happened. He decided not to give up. In a letter he wrote to his brothers, now known as the Heiligenstadt Testament, Beethoven shared his pain and fears, but also promised to keep creating music. He realized that music was his purpose and his passion, and he was determined to keep composing no matter what. And he did. Even after he lost most of his hearing, Beethoven kept writing music. He used notebooks to communicate with friends, and he remembered what instruments sounded like by feel and memory. Some of his greatest works were written when he was almost completely deaf. His Third Symphony, also known as the Eroica, was bold and powerful. His Fifth Symphony begins with 4 notes that have become world famous: da 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 dum. That simple rhythm has appeared in movies, TV shows, and concerts for many years. And then there's his Ninth Symphony, completed when Beethoven was fully deaf. It includes the famous tune Ode to Joy, a hopeful, joyful melody that celebrates brotherhood and peace. Imagine conducting an orchestra and choir without being able to hear a single note. Beethoven did it by feeling the vibrations of the music and trusting his deep understanding of sound. At the first performance of the Ninth Symphony, someone had to turn him around to show the audience's applause, since he could not hear it. People were amazed and inspired by what he had accomplished. Even though Beethoven lived during difficult times, including wars in Europe, and faced many personal challenges, his music gave hope and strength to many people. He continued to write music until his final years, even as his health grew worse. He died in Vienna in 1827, leaving behind hundreds of compositions and a story that continues to inspire musicians and music lovers around the world. Beethoven taught the world that music is bigger than sound. It comes from the heart and mind. He showed that no matter how hard life gets, you can still follow your dreams. He didn't let hearing loss stop him, and he didn't quit when things were hard. That's why people still listen to his music today, over 250 years after he was born. His life proves that great things can be achieved through talent, passion, and never giving up. So the next time you hear a beautiful piece of classical music that makes you feel something, whether it's joy, sadness, excitement, or peace, you might be hearing the work of Ludwig van Beethoven. He was a person who believed in the power of music so deeply that not even silence could stop him from sharing it. Let his story be a reminder that with hard work and courage, we can all create something that lasts.